This was about 14 or 15 years ago. So we're talking 2007, 2008,
Mhm,
correct?
mhm.
In my opinion, Jamie Kern Lima is the reason why we have this real beauty movement. There always has to be the first person,
Mm.
and she was it. So when you look around the internet and social media and you see people doing naked faces, that was not something people did in 2007. It was all airbrush. It was all perfection. That was the beauty standard. There were no plus size or curvy models. That was
Mhm.
not a thing back then. And so you've got a woman who is sitting in Seattle, who has no experience and no money, deciding that she is going to not only figure out how to create a makeup line for people who have issues with their skin, but that she's going to do something nobody has ever done, which is put real, normal people like you and me into her campaigns when she finally gets this figured out. And she's going to show people what her skin actually looks like in order to sell it. I mean, that was a revolutionary idea. She was the first. And I'm telling you this because you could be the first. You have something inside of you that is a problem, something that you can solve. And you could be the first to change the way that people think about an issue. And so, Jamie, let's pick up the story because how do you go from this aha moment, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, to doing something? Because I
Yes.
think some of us have aha moments, right?
Yep. And then we
But we
doubt
don't
him.
do anything.
Yes, because we doubt him. We
Yes.
doubt him. We think like, "Oh, someone's already done it,"
Yes.
or, "Oh, whatever." First of all, if you're out there right now and you think, "Oh, you have an idea or a way you wanna show up in the world or someone else you wanna help, but you think, 'Oh, someone's already done it.'" Literally, there's only one of you in the entire universe, which by definition means no one has ever done it the way you're gonna do it. So,
Mm.
when I launched this
Say that again, Jamie, for the people that are like, whoa, 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 kids, calm down. Wait, Jamie just said something. I was doing my dishes. Say that again. Talk about the fact that this matters.
This is huge because I think the biggest reason we talk ourselves out of things is we think, "Oh, someone's already done it.
Yes.
Someone's already done it before, who must be smarter than me or more talented or more whatever it is than me." And what I have learned and then proven, and I wanna tell you too about I'm gonna get so excited, Mel, because no, when you do this thing, like, don't be shocked then when there's millions and millions of rejections and people don't get it, right? Because it's never been done before, right?
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
there's only one of you doing it the way you're gonna do it, but just to recap that, there is literally only one of you in the entire universe, right? And so if you are gonna show up to this world authentic, that means whatever you do, if it's authentic to you, it's actually by definition, it's never been done before,
Hmm.
right? And so when you show up that way, don't be surprised if not everyone gets it right away. Or, in my case, all the experts I put on pedestals all said no. That this idea of how I wanted to connect with women, they thought it wouldn't work and they thought I wouldn't therefore make them any money. Um,
So, but can I ask you a question
yeah,
real quick? How did you go from the aha
yes,
to starting? So, what did
yes,
that look like? Like, because I
yep,
think, like, if you're in this space where, let's just use an example. You've never actually you don't know the first you have this thing about catering that you
yep,
just can't get it out of your head. You wanna do these events, you've never actually done this because you had never
yes,
done anything with makeup. You had
yep,
no idea what you were doing.
yep.
You have an idea and you have an aha moment.
Mhm.
What was the first thing that you did to start to make this real?
So leaning on that, why I had to do it and why
Mhm.
it felt like it was going to be part of my purpose was a
Mhm.
big thing that helped me actually take the risk, quit my job.
Wait, you
And
quit your job because you had an aha moment?
yeah, it was deep. I was like, if I had
What did it
all,
feel like?
it felt like, if I didn't do it, I would wake up the rest of my life with this pain in my gut, this longing knowing I was created for more. It felt like if I didn't do it, I would have the pain of regret. And
Mm.
if I did do it, I might have the pain of failure and maybe the pain of embarrassment and then maybe the pain of, oh, wow, that doesn't feel like it went how I thought it was. I knew it was this big risk. I
Yeah.
knew I was leaving what I thought was my dream job.
Why did you have to
Um,
quit your job? Just curious.
it was literally from day 1, I was all in. Like, it was I dove all in. I knew if I was gonna do this, I needed to just go all in on it. And, I started I do not recommend this, but I started working, like, 100-hour weeks from the beginning. I was so freaking passionate about it. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about what if I can actually figure this out? What if I can literally 'cause it became a
So
big
did you have
dream.
any savings? Like, do you have a little bit of
Very
savings?
little
Because you didn't
savings.
pay yourself for the first 3 years that you did this.
First 3 years. So, basically, my husband and I wrote this business plan, right?
Yep.
Quit our jobs, dove all in our living room. We poured all of our savings into it. I thought, Mel, and this is for someone watching us right now, I know this. I thought if I can figure the product out, it's gonna be huge.
Right.
And then I realized, like, oh, being an entrepreneur or launching a dream is not always that easy. We put every penny we had into it, and once we actually created a product by and we were scrappy. If you
And
wanna
how
know
did you
how.
create a product? Like, are you in your
Yeah.
kitchen buying stuff at the grocery store, or how does this even work?
Okay, so no, so so first, I love that, technology is right there, right? So researching how are makeup formulations made, who makes them, what are the FDA regulatory compliance, all the unsexy stuff I know nothing about, just diving into the research phase of how does this happen. And then what I learned is that manufacturers are makeup companies' closest held secrets, right? Like closest held secrets. They won't disclose who they work with, but a
Hmm.
lot of these big manufacturers work with all the top brands that you see or a handful of them.
Gotcha.
So I
So
started.
so are you saying that all of the brands and top brands that you see are basically manufactured by a handful of companies?
Yes,
Okay,
handful of
got it.
companies, and then some do it in-house as well.
Gotcha.
So what I did was scrappy. I walked into a Sephora, I wrote down the name of every single brand in there, went home. I had no money, right? Cold call every single brand and saying like, "Oh, I'm looking for a really great manufacturer. Could you let me know who you manufacture?" And then they hang up on me. You know what I mean? One after another, after another, after another. And I got this really small brand in a totally different kind of positioning where the girl who answered said, "Oh, here's who we use. They're in New York City, blah, blah, blah." So that was my first manufacturer. Reached out to them, had a meeting in person, had no money, poured this idea out to them. They took a risk making me samples. And that's how it started, was just really being scrappy and trying to figure it out. All of our money had went into the product development formula and the
Yep.
advisory board of the product.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, now we have a product that works for me, right? This was after hundreds of formula iterations. I thought that was going to be it.
So is this like year 1 or year 2? Like, how long did this take?
Yeah, it took a good first year to get
Okay.
that product. And then what I started doing was sending it to everyone I thought was just going to believe in me instantly. So I sent it to Sephora and Ulta Beauty and all the department stores and all of the online retailers, QVC, which is, live television shopping channel. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be huge. Every single one of them said no after no after no after no. And to your point, it became 3 years of not being able to pay myself, 3 years of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of no's, of crying myself to sleep at night.
Were you and your
Um,
husband, like, fighting like crazy? Like, "You should go back to work. You should," but why do we do that? Like, were you, like, doing
you
that?
you wanna know what it was? We
Yeah.
still believed in it, but we weren't sure how we were gonna make it. It was, like, friends and family that were like, wait, you quit your job? Are you sure you shoulda quit your job?" Or, "Wait, you still haven't made any money? Like, it's been 3 years," right? So you hear all of this, the voices get so loud.
Yeah.
The loudest, though, were my own self-doubt. Sometimes we take a chance and go for something because our gut is telling us to do it, and then all of a sudden you face all this opposition and you start to question, is my gut wrong? Is my knowing wrong? And there were so many times where I would literally get this another brutal no from, Sephora or QVC or whoever it was, and I would just literally cry myself to sleep. I would pray about it and be like, God, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this, but nothing is going right.
So let's just pause in that moment because I get a lot of questions from listeners who, because of the things that have happened in their past,
Yeah.
they don't know how to trust their intuition.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of questions about decision making and how to truly, in a situation like this, where you are burning through your entire life savings,
Yeah.
You have left your dream job. You have gotten no after no after no after no after no. How do you stay connected to your intuition in a
Mhm,
situation like that?
mhm,
What tool do you have or what advice can you give to somebody who's having trouble hearing what the right decision is
mhm.
in that kind of situation?
Yeah. So I think that intuition is like a muscle that we build
Mhm.
over time. And I think it's a lifelong journey that, to really learning how to hear it and to trust it. And one of the greatest tools I think is to go back, think back to times in your life where maybe you had this gut feeling to do something and everyone around you said, don't do it. So you listen to them, you didn't trust yourself, and then think about what happened. Right. And then similarly, go back to a time where everyone was like, "Oh, no way, no way." And you're like, "But I love him. I don't think he's lying. I think his phone really did break 5 times every weekend. He didn't disappear, his phone." Like, right, think about, like, that situation when everyone was telling you something and you didn't listen, or even your gut was telling you, right? And you didn't listen, and you think back to those times and you start to develop pattern recognition
Mm.
of how it felt in moments in your life when you trusted yourself or didn't, and what happened. And you get better attuned to what that feels like. So,
What does it feel like for you
I
in both
feel,
situations? Like, can you describe what it feels like for you when you're like, "Yep, no, that's a no." And what
yes.
does it feel like for you when you're like, "I'm sticking with this?"
Yeah. Often it's the tiniest of feelings in my gut, right? Some people describe it as like a still small voice. I pray about it. I ask God to give me the answers and I try to live the answers.
Do you feel the answers that God gives you? Like, is that what happens for you when you do this?
Like right now, when I look at you, right?
Yeah?
Like I know you're a beautiful soul. Right? I just know it. You know it. You feel it. Like, I feel like you have good, like, you're good. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
feeling, right? And we get these feelings, but so much around us is so loud.
Hmm.
And we just learn over time. And by the way, not to go, this could be a whole other episode, but especially as women from the time we're young, we learn not to trust ourselves. We walk in to our parents fighting and we go, "Is everything okay?" They're like, "Everything's great. Everything's great." Right? To protect us, we start to learn to
You're like,
doubt ourselves.
"Baloney." Yep.
Right? But
Uh-huh.
or, especially as young girls, you learn to make decisions by consensus
Mm.
often with your friends,
Or
and you
making other people happy.
making other people happy, people pleasing. We're rewarded for pleasing everyone else and almost ignoring what we feel. So if you're someone who's an adult right now going, I don't even know how to hear my own gut or trust myself. That's why we've been trained out of learning how to do it, right? So it takes intentionality and really deciding, oh, you know what? I'm going to put in some time, even if it's 5 minutes a day, just to thinking about moments in my life where I trusted myself, where I didn't. And if you don't remember any of them, start now.
You know what you just inspired me to think about?
Hmm.
I don't even know if it's possible to do this, but imagine if you could go through the rest of today and only make decisions that align with what you truly want. If you
Yes.
don't want to go to that party tonight, don't go. If a friend asks you something and you feel obligated out of guilt to lend them that thing, don't actually lend them the thing.
Yeah.
Eat what you want to eat tonight for dinner. Don't just go to wherever your friends want to go. Like, I think that would be a real eye opening experiment if you were to do that.
And you start building that muscle, right? And the more you do that, some people don't even pay attention to what they actually want to eat for dinner. They're just like, what sounds good to everyone? But to your point, when you start paying
Hmm.
attention, then you also start building that knowing of hearing your own knowing.
Do you think it's possible to discover your unique purpose in life if you are not connected and listening to your intention and intuition? I mean,
And your own intuition. Here's how I think it's way more likely, and you're going to actually discover more than one purpose
mm,
often if you're really tuned in to your intuition and you're intentional about it. But what I'll say for someone who feels like they can't hear their gut but they still want to find their purpose, a friend of mine, Rory Vaden, says that your best position to serve the person you once were, right? Trent Shelton, our friend, says one day the things you're going through right now will be the things you made it through.
Yeah.
And what I would say to someone listening right now is look at something in the past that has broken your heart, that has caused you grief, that has been something that you care deeply about, whether it's
Mm.
positive or negative, that you've gone through, something you care deeply about, or maybe pain you've gone through, something you have made it through. I believe often when we go through the hardest times in our life,
Yep.
it's for one of two reasons.
What are they?
It is to either equip us with the strength we need to carry the weight of our success that's to come, to
Mm.
carry the weight of our purpose that's to come, or we've gone through these horrible, unspeakable times, things we would never want to happen to us again in our life, because we're actually going to get our greatest source of fulfillment and purpose by one day helping someone else who's going through them.
I
And
love that saying that you're best equipped to help the person you used to be.
yes,
After doing something so extraordinary, and you also have made a huge difference in women's lives around the world because you are extraordinarily philanthropic. $40 million worth of product and monetary donations to people that are struggling with cancer. And what is next for you?
mm,
Because you are right now in the middle of figuring out on this next leg of the journey called life what your purpose is
mhm,
and what your next thing is going to be. What tools are you using or how are you thinking about it? And it's really important topic because so many people, particularly after the last 3 years, have had a profound life change thrust on them.
yes.
And they're looking ahead at an open road, wondering what their purpose is going to be, what they're going to do. Can you just speak to that person for a minute about
Mhm.
how you're going about figuring it out?
Yeah. So, one thing I just want to remind everyone too, Mel, because I think people put so much pressure on themselves that their purpose has to be their job or their
Hmm.
next job. And a lot of times we can be doing a job that's fine. And maybe for family reasons, we need that health coverage and we need that paycheck and your purpose can be found in the things you do outside of that, right? There's a lot of ways to listen to that knowing and your gut and then when it feels right, you know that's aligned with who you're born to be
Mm-hmm.
and how you're born to show up in the world. And so for me right now, there's that famous saying, just because you can, should you, right? There's
Mm.
a big part of me now with all these, could I go launch a bunch of businesses? Yes. Right? And what I feel drawn to is literally because here's the deal. Yes, I've built a $1 billion business. Yes, I have other companies that I invest in.
You
But
also are married and you have two beautiful children,
yes, a
and
2-year-old and a
you're
4-year-old.
incredibly devoted to your family.
Hmm. Well, and here's the thing is like that's all part of my story, but when I look at my real story, it meaning the part that ties deeply to my purpose, like my real story is a girl who went from not believing in herself to
Mm.
learning how to. And so when I wake up in the morning and I think about the things I've done so far, the things I hope for my kids for, it is and how I built a $1 billion business, it was really through seeing women, helping them see themselves
Mm.
and believe in themselves and believe they are worthy and enough. And that's what fires me up every morning. So when I think about what I'm stepping into next,
Yeah.
I wrote Believe It, which is about my book about how to go from underestimated to unstoppable, donated all the proceeds. I'm donating all the proceeds from that 100%. I funded
Hold
leadership.
on, hold on. Let's just underscore that. So she writes a New York Times bestseller, donates all the proceeds from the book
Yeah.
to nonprofits. Just donates them.
Yeah. And the book is just,
It's
from
incredible.
Thank you.
It's like a little manual that you should have on your bedside table because Jamie will be smiling at you
Yes.
and you'll see that you're not alone, that we're in this together. And her example of learning how to go from doubting herself to believing in herself is the journey that each and every one of us is on.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of in this soup of knowing that this is the area where you want to focus the impact, but you're
Yeah.
not being a very, very, very good friend of yours. I know that you're not, it's still a fuzzy target, so to speak, as
Mm,
our friend Dean would say, it's a fuzzy target. If somebody kind of has a sense that there's something more, but they don't quite have they haven't had that aha moment yet that you
yeah.
had almost 14 years ago sitting on that television set.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make makeup and I'm gonna bring real women and I'm gonna show my skin and I'm gonna
Yeah.
solve this problem. I'm gonna make people think that they're beautiful because they are beautiful no matter what their body. And you did it. You did it. But if you're in the soup and you
Yeah.
don't have the vision yet, is there an exercise or something that you would recommend that we all do while we're waiting for that clarity and that epiphany to strike?
Yeah, 2 things. 1, waiting for it to be perfect can be the lowest vibration, biggest excuse,
Mm.
number 1 reason why people just never try and never get started. So I think it's rare to ever have complete clarity, like, this is exactly perfect for and that's why, I think 2 things. I think just taking a step and seeing how it feels is good, tuning into your knowing. I also think, Dean, so you mentioned our friend Dean who was saying it's a fuzzy target. He was saying something to me recently about, almost like when you're about to aim a bow and arrow and you're about to let go of the arrow. He's like, you can aim and turn it and twist it a few times before you let go of the arrow. It's okay to wait a little bit and just make sure you're going to aim at the right thing.
Mm.
Um, and so this year, for example, I've kind of been doing that. I've been saying, how do things feel? I have the gift and blessing of being here with you right now,
How does this
saying,
feel?
feels amazing.
So does this mean
I love
you're gonna
you.
do a talk show?
Maybe you could teach me all the ropes, Mel, and then yeah, but
Hardly. I am a failed talk show host.
okay. There, don't even you
That
want
is true.
this is
My
a
talk show got canceled.
mm-hmm,
Why?
mm-hmm.
Because,
I can tell you why. Go ahead. Go
well, I was gonna apply the lessons from Professor Purpose, but I'd like to hear
ahead.
you tell me why.
I think our steps are ordered. Why? I think because you are going to own all of what you're doing and make it so much bigger than anyone else who owned it could have made it.
Mhm. It's true.
So, by that definition, I think you're the most successful talk show host. That's the first thing. Um,
At least in the podcast space.
but no, I think it's all going to be the same. I think a show is a show. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The world's changing so rapidly.
Mhm.
Um, and, uh, and I love too that you can do this show on your terms,
It's true.
right? You can do it on your terms. And that's why it is so huge because it's on your terms.
Well, like you, and maybe this is one of the reasons why we have become such dear friends in such a short period of time, and I often say on the show that I truly believe that the best years of your life and the best friendships that you'll have are on the road ahead.
Mm,
But a lot of the reason why we connected so profoundly, even though we are different in many, many ways,
yeah.
is that it goes back to the Denny's waitress. Like at my core, I am still the waitress making money, waiting tables at the Red Rooster Tavern on Scenic Drive in North Muskegon, Michigan. Same as you, stalling because the fryer has now broken and the fried perch is not coming out. And I'm
Mhm.
talking to the tourists from Chicago and I'm treating everybody kindly. And I know that all I want to do is impact people's lives that are just got their head down and they don't feel very seen or heard. And I want to make them know that they have it within them to tap into this incredible power inside them to create whatever they want in life. And
Yes.
it starts with believing
Yes.
that you can and having somebody like you on who has demonstrated that is really
Yeah.
important for people to hear.
On that topic of friendship, I love so much that you are the friend that people need to your audience. Like, and what I mean by that, and I'm honored to be the friend for this episode with you to everyone. And what I mean by that, Mel, is I think you and I love each other for who we authentically are. The Denny's waitress, the Red Rooster waitress, right? And we also are friends that help pull each other into who we're
Yes.
becoming.
Yes.
And I think so often, and that's why I love, and your show also, as you know, of course, but I just want to call it out that your show can be this for people who feel like, how do I find those friends that help pull me into my future? Because so often the people around us, while they might mean really, really well and love us dearly, pull us into our past, or for their own comfort zone, want us to stay the person we were or are. And it's so important, because we're talking about purpose,
Yeah.
to try and add friends to your circle who truly want the best for you, not just what they think is the best for them in you, but like want the best for you. And you do that for me. I do that for you.
Yes.
This show, your show, I know does that for people as
Yes.
well. And so honored to be part of that.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I want to just highlight one final thing, and then I have a surprise to tell you listening to us right now. Yes, we have a surprise for you. It's really exciting with Professor Purpose over here. Um, and I'm having like a menopause moment where like the drawbridge is open in my brain, and now the drawbridge is not closing and connecting the dots on this profound thing that I wanted to say. So let me see if I
Everything
can
you say is
order this.
profound.
Hardly, but I appreciate you saying that. Um, I think one of the things that I've learned, and it took me a long time to learn this, is that there is so much success and happiness to go around.
Mm,
And when you lift other people up
yeah.
and you reach out for help, that your success comes faster and it's richer,
Yes.
both emotionally and in terms of monetarily. And I just remembered what I wanted to say, and it's this. And it goes back to purpose. It goes back to that knowing and staying connected to your intention and this unique thing that you have to give to the world. It is not only your responsibility in life to stay connected to your knowing,
Mm,
it is your responsibility to advocate for it because only you have seen it in your heart and mind. Of course, your family says no. They don't even know what you're talking about because they only know the person that you've been in the past.
mhm.
Of course, the investor is going to say no. Why? Because they only know what they know. Your knowing is yours,
Yeah.
and you have to stay connected to it, and you have to keep describing it or advocating for it or explaining it to people so that they can see it too. And it's not until you demonstrate what you see in your own heart and mind by continuing to walk toward it, continuing to talk about it, continuing to believe in it, that it will become a reality. And that's why people say no,
Mm,
because it's your knowing,
mhm,
not theirs. And
mhm.
so, in a weird way, a ton of no's or a lot of friction or bumping up against things as you're trying, and you can't understand why don't people get this? Why isn't this working? It's because it's your knowing, not theirs. So, I am in Salt Lake City and I'm about to give a speech. And as I landed here in Salt Lake City, my phone, when it came back online, started to blow up. And it was text messages from our daughter, who is a senior in college. Her name is Kendall. And she is a music student and she aspires to be a singer songwriter. And that piece of information is important because it relates to the heartbreak, the confusion, and the entanglement issues she is going through. So, what is the issue? The issue is she was really interested in somebody in her program. And they were collaborating as musicians. They were hooking up. They had a really fun relationship. They really cared about each other. And as these things do, it kind of fizzled out. And recently, there has been a new friend that has come into her life that's also a musician that has been extremely helpful in collaboration. And Ken's all excited. And in fact, a week ago, she called me and said, "You're never going to believe this. I met the coolest woman. She wants to do sessions together. She wants to work on music together. I feel so energized." And now Kendall's texting me because she found out a piece of information yesterday and it has rocked her world. So let me find, of course, I do not have this teed up for you. You can tell this is real time because I'm like, oh my God, I did not actually prepare because this is unfolding. Oh, here she goes. Okay, I found it. So at 11:43 a.m., my daughter texts me and says, Mom, I got to call you later. I found out some tea and I'm #sad. And then I said, let me guess. Brendan has a girlfriend. That's her high school sweetheart who they've both committed to marrying each other if they're both single, still in their 30s. Is that it? Tell me the tea. I just got off a plane. She says, no, ha, 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 ha. Remember how I told you my friend wants to help me book sessions and do management stuff? Yep. And come on, you are a tease when it comes to this kind of stuff. Lay it on me. Sorry, I'm in class. Basically, it's a long story, but she now has a crush on, I'm going to make up a name because I don't want to disclose their names. She has a crush on, what name should we use, everybody? Steve. She has a crush on Steve. Steve? Do people name their kids Steve anymore? Steve. Okay. Basically, it's a long story, but she has a crush on Steve, and he has a crush on her because they've done a few sessions together because she needed help on a song she wrote for a class. And I just know that this is the universe giving me a test because the fact that she just waltzed into my life, wants to be a bigger part of my life, and she just so happens to be now developing a crush on this boy I have history with and have made really good music with, this mom is not a coincidence. But I'll admit, I did have a big ugly cry last night because she's fucking gorgeous and they haven't even hooked up yet. And he's already telling our friend that he's crushing on this girl too. Like, bro, we hooked up for 6 months and he never said those words to. So now I just feel like he was only in it with me for the sex. Like, wow. Now, I have to give myself some props. I have been working on not trying to jump in and solve my kids' problems. This is so hard for me to do. My anxiety and my need to fix things and my need to make sure my kids are okay has me typically in this situation jump in and be like, here's what you need to do. And here, da, 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 da. But I've been working on using my own 5-second rule. Count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put yourself in pause. And then I choose a different response. And my response now is to not correct a situation, but to seek connection. And so I put myself in pause. I'm so proud of myself for this. You've got to try this with the people in your life. And instead of offering a solution, I just offered connection and said, well, that fucking sucks. I hate it when the universe does that. And then she said, like, what am I supposed to make of this, Mom? I put myself in pause. I did not offer a solution. And I said, I don't know. What do you think you're supposed to make of this? Can we just say, good job, Mel Robbins? Like, I feel like, okay, this is a huge leap in my parenting skills. She says, well, it almost feels like a test. And then I say, do you want me to tell you what I'm thinking? And she says, yes. And I said, I agree. I think it's a test about how serious you are about music. And then she says, it's also confusing because they're both so serious about music, which is why I think they're like into each other. And it's almost confronting for me in a way. And then I wrote, every relationship is a test. This one is saying, don't test me. I'm just fine on my own. Hey, wouldn't this be a great Lizzo song this moment? She says, I know, but this is just so unfortunate. I know that this is just the universe, Mom. All I have been manifesting is devotion to my work and music above all else. And clearly this is just a test of that manifesting. because they are two people who want to help me make progress in my music career. And now that they could potentially get involved with one another, it's a test to try and shift my attention and question both of their roles. And if I actually want to collaborate and use them to help me with my music career. I've been trying so hard all day to have an abundant mindset. Like, good for them, honestly. How great it is that someone I want to produce and write with is also really dig someone that I want to support, that wants to support me, believe in me, and help me grow, you know? And then I said, I want you to also consider energy. She said, expand on that. I said, I will later. I think your energy is off now that this has happened, and this is not a good sign. She says, what do you mean? I said, well, it doesn't work for you to collaborate on music with someone you have weird vibes with. Now, I want to stop right there and unpack something for you. If you don't know what to do in life, always go in and pay attention to energy. When the energy shifts around people or relationships or anything that you're doing, that is always a sign about alignment. It's a sign for you to slow down when energy vibes shift and something feels off. As a human being, you are wired to be in alignment. You're wired to feel like things are in a groove. And clearly, when you find out news like our daughter did 24 hours ago, that somebody that you had been hooking up with and still have a crush on and still want to work with now has a crush on someone else and she has a crush on them, the energy is going to shift. And it's now an opportunity for you to learn something about yourself, for you to seek better alignment, and for you to follow the energy that feels good. That's the opportunity of a moment like this, which is why I brought up energy. Let's go back to the text exchange, okay? Mom, can you expand on that? I said, well, I will later, but your energy is off, and that's not a good sign. She said, what do you mean? I said, it doesn't work for you to collaborate on music, which is something very intimate for you, with someone you have weird vibes with. Have you ever had this situation happen to you, like at work, where you kind of had a crush on somebody at work, and next thing you know, you're finding out that the person you have a crush on with is actually secretly dating somebody else at work, and now you don't feel like you want to work on projects with those two? That's an example of that energy being off. And then she says, you mean the fact that my energy has been thrown by this means that it's not a good call? But Mom, I also think that I can rise above this and be above this and let them do their thing without feeling threatened. Okay, let's stop right there. That is so true. What if you could develop the power and the self-awareness to notice in these kinds of heartbreaking and confusing situations that, boom, the energy's off. Oh my God, I'm disappointed. I'm also confronted. What if you could literally switch gears in that moment? I mean, wouldn't that be a superpower to be able to rise above that kind of thing? And then she writes this. Well, I don't want to be with him anyway. I mean, I just don't. I just don't want him to want her. Mic drop. Isn't that life right there? And of course, I had to say, that's a song. I know you hate it when I say that, but when I read your texts, I feel like I'm reading lyrics. Oh, okay. Right in the middle of this, my husband's calling. Okay, let me just pick it up real quick and let's see what Chris has to say. Oh wait, I don't know what's happening. Is he still calling? Oh, here he is. Hold on. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Mel.
I'm taping a podcast. What's up?
I love you.
I love you too. Can I say something real quick? I'm talking about the situation that Kendall has with the that guy she had been hooking up with. We're calling him Steve, and her finding out that Steve has a crush on someone at school that is her good friend.
Uh-huh.
Has she talked to you about this?
This is a recent thing?
Okay, so I guess you're in the dark.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Okay.
She's been She's been trying to call me, but I don't know if it's explicitly to tell me the story. I don't know anything about it though.
She probably is calling you to ask for money.
I think she's all set. I can see her.
All right. Well, I'm going to hang up and keep talking to.
But you're probably right that she's not calling me for relationship advice.
She's blowing up my phone about it right now. So here's what I'm going to do. I love you too. I'm going to hang up with you. I'm going to continue talking to the folks that are listening right now on the podcast. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Robbins. There he is. Yay. Okay, well, you have a great day. I'll call you later because I'm about to lose my train of thought. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so back to the podcast. That was Christopher Robbins. Isn't he cute? Okay, I think that's it. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to try to get Kendall Robbins on the phone. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get her on the phone. I have no idea how this is going to go. One thing I need you to know about this is that this is not staged and that I am going to try to bring you into my life. But here's one boundary I need you to know as we start to do this on this show. We will never air something that either that features my kids or text messages or a friend or my husband without them listening to the episode and giving us the okay. I put that boundary in place because I want us to be able to record in a way that is spontaneous and authentic and live, but and in that environment, allow people to speak freely, but also to have people know that they're safe to speak freely because nothing will air that they're uncomfortable with. So it's important for me to tell you that so that you understand the steps that I'm taking to both share my life and keep this real and raw and authentic and relatable and deeply personal, and also not exploit people or make them feel unsafe. Okay, so let's see if we can get Kendall Robbins on the phone. She does not know that we are calling her. Here we go. For those of you watching on YouTube right now, I just want to tell you something. We taped what you're about to hear and watch yesterday, and the whole thing went down live. But when I opened yesterday, I was all discombobulated. And so I'm in a different outfit than what you're about to see. And frankly, I don't even know how we're going to end this thing, so I might be in a different outfit when you're watching this on YouTube. And that's one of the things why it's important to subscribe to YouTube, because we do release audio versions of the podcast and the unabridged, behind the scenes, anything goes, crazy ass stuff, longer form is always released on the same day on YouTube. So you're going to want to listen to both, okay? Anyway, that's it. So let's cut to us trying to get to Kendall. Here we go.
Hi, this is Dr. Schneeberger, Kendall's grandfather. If you're a boy, hang up. Otherwise, leave a message.
At the tone, please record your message.
She has had that voicemail message that my dad recorded for her since she was in 9th grade. I got to give her props for having the same outgoing message that your grandfather recorded. I mean, for 8 years. Come on now. If you can roll with that through high school and college, you can roll through somebody crushing on your ex-crush. That's all I'm saying. And you can also get the message in all of this mess of your life that what is hurting you is probably not meant for you. That it's time that you align your life with a new direction that energizes you and people that you're in a groove with. It's really that simple. People come and go in your life, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to be stung when they exit, because when that door slams, sometimes your finger can get caught in it. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if she calls us back. She's in class. She just texted me, Mom, I'm in class. What's your problem? She'll find out what my problem is when she calls back, and hopefully we'll be able to air it. You answer it. Just Kendall? Oh. Kendall?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. So I thank you for calling me back after class. I wanted to talk to you about the texts that we were exchanging today because it reminded. What are you doing?
I'm eating a chocolate bar, Mom. Like, sorry, I don't have a fucking podcast mic on me right now. Okay, I'm ready. Go.
America will wait. No, the
Yeah,
globe will, because we have listeners and fans around the world hanging on your every word and the crumbs coming out of that chocolate bar.
They're good crumbs.
Are you like inside? Can you go outside where maybe we can hear you?
I am outside.
Can you move away from those annoying people sitting next to you?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Talk to me
Okay.
while I'm moving.
Talk to you while I'm moving. Okay. So I got your text today, and I shared the gist of it with everybody. And after sharing the gist of it with everybody, I thought, wow, it reminded me of a moment when I was going through a really hard time, and there was a bunch of things in my life that were not working the way I'd hoped they would. And you gave me some of the best advice I have ever received. Do you remember what it was?
I do.
What was it?
Well, I told you that the reason that you were experiencing that, whatever you were experiencing, which was not a pleasant experience, was so you could get back in touch with what the people you're trying to inspire are struggling with every day, because you're a very lucky person. You worked very hard for the life that you have, but I think you, on a day-to-day basis, don't really struggle the way that the people you inspire do. And I told you that the reason that you were having all of these issues was because you needed to be reminded of how they feel and how you had once felt.
And if we go a level deeper and more profound on the advice,
Okay.
what force was actually giving me those lessons?
What was?
What force? Because in your advice, there's a presumption about something bigger
universe.
and more profound. So talk about that.
The universe. Well, should I talk more descriptive of my own personal experience?
Well, when you gave me that advice, because it's easy to give advice, right? Because you're not emotionally attached to the situation.
Yeah.
And so when you gave me that advice, that the reason why these things were happening in my life that were hard and challenging and causing me a lot of pain and causing me to question people around me and what was happening, you basically said that, Mom, your biggest mission in life is to help people. That's how you started. And because of your success, you have gotten far away from what it feels like to wake up every day and feel this level of struggle. That there was something in this challenge tied to my purpose, and that a greater spiritual force and energy was behind this if I was willing to look at the challenge that way.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also like has a lot to do with like growth and like comfort and like wanting to, I don't know, because I think like you and me are both inspired by and want to create things that require us to grow and to challenge ourselves every day. And it's so easy to just stay in like a comfortable place, to stay in all the habits that you have, to never do shit that scares you, or never interact with people or things or relationships that make you look in the mirror, or make you feel insecure, or make you scared, or make you angry, or whatever it is. And I think that that like challenge tide that you experienced was like, I don't know, I think for me right now, I'm sort of in this place where I'm going through a teeny little fucking challenge tide that's like basically a fucking tide pool. Like, it's not a tsunami.
Yeah.
Yours was, mine was not, but I think I'm going through this challenge tide, and I'm trying so hard because I want to maintain feeling aligned, and because I want to embrace growth and not let this derail me, that I'm like trying so hard to stay in like a mindset where I look at it as like an opportunity instead of like something that's been something like I'm being damned, I'm being wronged. Like, it's more of like, okay, you know what? Thank you. This is some sort of message.
What is the message? So, because let's go back to this part where you get the news that somebody that you are a new friend with is now crushing on somebody you used to crush with. And
and this new friend has come into my life and asked if they can pour into me basically professionally, which is like an absolute godsend. And then I find out like a few days later that it's like there's some entanglement between someone that I used to feel something for, and now they might feel something for them, but I still want to utilize this new friend. I'm just playing chess. Maybe I'm playing checkers. I don't know. I don't really know how to play
what's
either
the
one.
difference? I don't either. Well, I think I know how to play checkers, but
I'm probably playing checkers, let's be honest.
Well, I think that you're at a crossroads.
But what my point is that it would be so easy for me to just drop a fucking bomb on this really cool person and this really cool opportunity I have with not only the ex, but the new person who's going to help me, and the ex who, by the way, I also deeply, deeply respect and care about and know in my heart that I'm not supposed to be with and I'm not supposed to have a relationship to. But I think now that he and her are now entangled, it's making me go, wait, I kind of want him to be entangled with me again, which is not what I want. It's just this is my like fear of rejection coming up and my ego coming up. But back to my point is like, it would be so easy for me to just fucking derail this whole thing because I'm insecure and I'm suddenly feeling like I'm in a place of resistance. And
Stop
it would be
right there.
harder
Stop
for
right
me.
there. Can I just ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to me what exactly you would do to derail this situation? What would the old, sneaky, nasty you do?
Well, I would probably just find ways to, like, I would probably start to avoid her. I would probably like pull the plug, not pull the plug, but like sort of just pump the brakes on this like relationship that I'm cultivating, and this relationship that I'm like actively pouring more time into. I would probably pump the brakes on that.
Would you then pull the string again on the person you used to be interested in?
Would I what on him?
Would you stoke the flame on the person you used to be interested in again?
That would be like level 0, Kendall, because I'm not really somebody that does that after a breakup. But maybe I might. I'm more of like a cold shoulder person. Like, you don't exist, I don't exist, which is not really a great tactic.
Is that like a level 2?
No, I mean, I think what I would do is I would pump the brakes on her, and every time I was around him, I'd shut down. I would not collaborate with him. I would not collaborate with her, and I would just feel myself in a place of resistance, in a place of shut down, in a place of like I would just go to a really horrible, like detrimental, negative self-talk place that probably wouldn't be lifted for a while.
You're basically describing me,
And like,
not
listen,
me, like in my
I,
my teens and 20s and sometimes my 30s. But go ahead, and sometimes my 40s. But
well, what I was gonna say is like when I found out about this, which
how did you find
happened,
out?
yeah, that's not important. I found out, and when I found out about this, which happened quite literally yesterday, all of last night and like slivers of today, I felt myself in that place, like not really like not really acting out from that place, but like in that mindset of like looking in the mirror and being like, wow, I'm fucking ugly, or being like, ooh, she's so much better than me. No wonder he wants her. Like, there's no way I can collaborate her because of this. There's no way that he's ever going to want to collaborate with me. Like, things are going to be awkward, just like over and over and over and over and over. And then like I had to remind myself, like, we're not doing that. We're not going to like live there. We're not going to be in that mindset, like yada, yada, yada. But like, it's pretty much day one. And I'm like already having to sort of like train myself to like not go there.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because I think this is so incredibly relatable. And what I visualize when I think about you standing on a street corner and having the thought cross your mind, or seeing them talking, or having a text show up from one of them, because y'all are kind of collaborating in a professional sense.
Yeah.
That you now literally find yourself at an emotional and mental crossroad. The text or seeing them or a song coming on triggers you to be at the crossroad, and the Kendall 0 goes down the left-hand road and has negative thoughts that basically beat the hell out of you and tell you a story. See, more evidence, see this. And the Kendall, what number are we going to assign this?
Fucking 100.
Okay, Kendall fucking 100. Who then looks at the other fork, which is a fork that's aligned with what you actually want, with who you're becoming, with energy that is in a groove that matches with you. And that's a whole new way of thinking and being for you.
Yeah.
What's this been like? And since you're actively in this, how would you describe what people need to do who are in this situation? They're literally just found out that their ex is going on a date with their friend. They just found out that the dream job that they got, or the dream school that they wanted to be in, went to somebody else. And there's this moment where the way you thought things were going to go just don't happen. And you feel the sting that you're talking about. And it just causes you to start telling yourself a very old story. It's never going to work out for you. This always happens to me. Nobody's going to love me. When is it going to be my turn? All that crap. How does somebody in that moment actually visualize a fork in the road, start to catch that negativity, and redirect themselves in a new direction?
Okay. Well, one second. I'm just getting on my bike.
Okay. Do we have to ride while we're giving the world advice
Mom,
here?
I think that you forget that I'm a student and I'm living my life. So give me a second. This is good. You can cut this out. Like, relax. Jesus. What I was going to, I'm sort of just going to start talking, and I might contradict myself, and I might go back on what I'm saying, but I guess that's part of this whole thing. But, yeah, I'm driving up to Thornton and potential encounter about to happen.
That would be amazing. I'm going to manifest that right now. Dear God, come on, bring him in. Bring him in. I would like to see the two of them walk around the corner as you're talking to us.
No, they're not.
If they
No,
did,
but
where would you feel it?
I would be like, damn it, that blows. But, but then I would tell myself, like, I think what I tell myself is I'm like, well, I think that it helps for me. It helps to know that, like, in my certain situation, like, I've already, like, done it and I've already tried it and it didn't work. And I know in my heart, like, I think what you need to do in these kinds of situations is just, like, remember what you know to be true, like, in your heart. Like, if it's your dream school and you didn't get in then and your best friend did, like, just believe in the fact that it's still your dream school and it's going to happen. It just might not be right now. And I think for me, what I'm telling myself is, like, I don't want that relationship. I don't want to be in that relationship. And I know that in my heart. And, like, instead of torturing myself and going back to, like, my old ways of thinking and trying to tell myself that I do want it just so I can have some sort of stupid validation, I'm going to tell myself that, like, he's still here. He's still talking to one of my good friends now, maybe for a reason. And instead of seeing this as, like, a detriment to my life, like, why don't I just flip the fucking script and, like, benefit from it? Like, how cool would it be if two people who I know care about me, who respect me deeply, and who both want to pour into me creatively and professionally, how fucking amazing would it be if they both fucking love each other and are vibing and are awesome? And how great is it, and how good and great does it feel to visualize, like, them hitting it off and them crushing on each other and them being awesome and great and just like an explosion of love and light. And I just get to experience that and I get to be around that and I get to benefit from that. And, like, I think
I
somebody
don't think
that's
you
not
were that
aligned
into
would
him if
probably,
you're this transformed 24 hours later. I'm just going to put it out there. Like, this sounds
no,
like a
I
highly
just, I
evolved
don't
human
think,
being.
no, it is. And I also don't, I think that, like, a non-aligned human would probably listen to me talk and be like, well, that's fucking selfish. Like,
Because I'll tell you what you just said there was exactly the point of this, which
I was
is,
going to say, it's all about healthy selfishness in this situation. Like, I know in my heart that, like, what I want is not that. And so instead, let me just surrender to the reality of what it is and then flip the script and be like, how can I have fun? How can I make this fun for me? How can I use this to benefit me? Like, how can I, like, look at this in a way that's, like, not going to make me feel like shit?
I think that's amazing. And since you're on a roll, can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
The fact that you've processed this in less than 24 hours and you're already love and light and alignment, to me says you weren't that into him anyway, and these are old wounds that you're working on around rejection.
Or it says that I was, and I'm mature as shit, and I'm on my spiritual awakening journey, and I'm aligned.
That you
How about
can,
that?
I think that's freaking hot. That's,
No, like, fuck though, you weren't that into him. Like, no, I really was, but I'm more into myself, and I'm on my fucking journey, and what of it?
oh my God. Okay, so I just got something from this, and now my armpits are sweating because it's such a good idea. You ready?
Sure.
You were able to hyper process this because you are very clear about who you are and what it feels like when you're in the groove with energy and people and where you put your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very clear when you are in alignment with your energy, with your focus, with who you surround yourself with, when something enters the space that's off. You feel friction. Yes. You don't feel like yourself. You feel yourself reaching for old toxic behaviors.
Yeah.
And
yes.
And that's why you were able to process this so quickly and hold space for the fact I still like the guy and I still want to work with her and him.
And him.
I got to figure this out because what the universe is actually teaching you, Ken, is it's teaching you how to stay laser focused on your higher objective instead of getting sucked into the toxic bullshit that Kendall Zero used to get sucked into.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah, that feels very, like, clear and like make sense to me. Because it's like, I don't want to lose them. I don't want to like what I was saying about the whole derailing thing is like, it would be so easy for me to just like derail. Okay, not working with you. I'm going to go cry about it. I'm going to listen to fucking sad music and blah, 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 and miss this crazy good opportunity. Or I could win from this. Like, it's just the mindset of being like, I can win from any situation. Okay, well, that's a little provincial, but
actually,
I
Ken,
think it's a good mindset to have. Like, any situation that you are in, whether or not you put yourself there, if you didn't, if it was placed upon you, like, you can still win. And like, it's just about like figuring out that higher objective and figuring out how you can feel aligned in that space that initially felt pretty negative.
one final thought. One
Okay.
final thought. If we were to roll the clock back 2.5 years when you went through something way more painful that took a lot longer to process.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you have any insight to offer for somebody who's in that space, who thinks what you're saying right now sounds absolutely fantastical and completely not realistic?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's, give me a second on that one. Not like a day, like give me actually 5 seconds.
Can I offer something?
Sure.
What if you take your mindset of, I could win in this, that there are certain upsets along the way that take longer to process?
Okay, I have it.
Go.
I was just going to say that, like, everybody always says, like, you can't love anyone until you love yourself. But I feel like that, like, the word choice in that isn't correct, because I feel like if I had known at that point 2 years ago when I was going through a much more painful and drawn out and confusing, entangled breakup, like, I had I didn't really believe that, like, I didn't believe in myself. Like, at that point in time, I wasn't like, I was put on this earth to do something bigger. Like, I didn't, like, actually believe with my whole heart that, like, I was put on this earth to live an incredible life and that I had the power to do so. And, like, I think that's where a lot of people's issues are, is that, like, they don't think that they're worth it. They don't think that they can actually achieve their dreams. They don't have dreams. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, at that point in time, I had ideas of what I thought my dreams were, but they weren't real. And I didn't actually believe, like, I'm going to be doing something bigger than this. Like, this is just like a piece to the puzzle. It's not the puzzle itself. And I feel like right now I can actually taste, like, the bigger things that are going to be happening for me. And, like, I can feel that, like, and because I can taste it, I know that this small challenge tide is just a test, you know, and it's not the whole thing. And it's, I can easily compartmentalize it because I can taste the bigger picture, but, like, I had to do a lot of fucking taste testings before that. You know what I mean? Like, go to the winery, babe.
I love that. And I would add one more thing. You're
Okay.
able to process this entanglement in hyper freaking Star Wars, like, whatever speed. Like, I just see hyper speed.
Okay.
Because of everything that you allowed yourself to feel and learn and process and mourn and discover about yourself in that painful year of breaking up. Just like I am able to feel a level of contentment and happiness that I've never experienced in my life now that I'm 53 because of the protracted, painful, awful, horrible 2 years of heartbreak that you had a front row seat to.
Yeah.
And I think the breakthrough that you receive in life is in direct reverse proportion to how painful the experience was. And when you get
but I
any,
don't think that is widespread, and that isn't like a way to seek.
I don't recommend you smash into a wall to learn a lesson. I'm saying life does
No.
that to you. And if
Yeah,
you are able to
totally.
process the hard stuff as a lesson, one of the benefits is the second the future you gets within an inch of anything that feels familiar to that old pain, you have an opportunity to go, I'm at that crossroad. I see the old me. I could spend a year doing this bullshit where I suck my thumb in the corner and I play small and I pretend my life is over and I hate every other woman because they're prettier. Or
Yeah.
I know that road. Or you actually put yourself in park and say, wait a minute. I learned something from that. And what I learned is I'm not fucking doing that again to myself. I'm going to.
And I also think like for this example, especially with this like girl and this guy, like I think like even yesterday and today I felt a little bit of like, oh, well maybe that road that they're on is like the wrong one. Like maybe I'm like, oh, well maybe I should, like I'm like visualizing a lot of like going left and going right, and like for some reason the right is always like the right road to go down. I mean, I don't think that was a coincidence in my brain, but what I'm saying is like yesterday I was like, you know what, maybe like collaborating with both of these people is not is going to the left. It's not going to the right. And like I shouldn't be collaborating with them. Like this is not a good idea. But then I was like, no, because if I wasn't collaborating with them, then I would actually be going to the left, because I would be like in resistance and I would be in pain and I would be comparing myself to every other woman on the face of the fucking earth. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
Consider that you don't do that and then see which road you're on.
Amazing. Hold that thought. I just want to ask Andrea and Maddie and Jesse, do you have any question you want me to ask Kendall? No? Maddie, you got one? Maddie was crying.
I was crying because what you said. No, well, what you said is exactly what I've been going through, like literally right now. And what I went through, like, I think almost 3.5 years ago, when I went through like a really prolonged, drawn out breakup where I felt like I wasn't good enough to be in the relationship and I wasn't enough to be enough for, you know, what he wanted, when that wasn't the case. And it's taken me a really long time to get to the other side of it. And I think that what you said is so, and I'm still probably like not close to, I'm getting there, but I'm not quite there. You know what I mean? Like it just takes time. And I wonder, maybe like, I like the question of like, what would you tell your past self, but like not even what could you take away? It's just like, if you could place yourself in a space in this moment where you feel the exact same way that you felt at that time, like you know that you would make a different decision, right?
Yeah. I think honestly, like if I was in that like really hard, like cyclical bad pattern, what I would do is just like every day do like a little something that scared me, or do like every time that I felt like just that like shit mindset I was going back to, like every time I felt myself going back to it, like just toy with the idea or like welcome the idea of doing the other thing. You know what I mean? Because that's just like sort of building the muscle, like strengthening the muscle of like going to the right instead of the left. Like, because for me in that really long breakup, it was like I was in the same place. Like, I'm not good enough for him. Like, I'm never going to be good enough for him. And now I've gotten to a point where I'm like, it is a fucking gift that I was even with him. And it is a gift that it didn't work out. And like, it had nothing to do with me not being good enough to him. It was just like, he was a part of my journey and like, he served his purpose. And I knew all along it wasn't supposed to be like a lifetime. But I think I resisted going to the right for so long, like to the point where literally like there was a fucking roadblock, like the road fell apart, the left road fell apart. And it was like, I don't have a choice. You know what I mean? And so I think what my piece of advice would be is to like practice just like turning right a little bit here and there every day. Just go to the right. Oh, I normally would do this, but let me just try doing that. Or I normally would think this, but let me just try thinking that. And I honestly think that like that will help you strengthen the muscle, because the amount of resistance I was in for so long, going to the left, going to the left, going to the left, when the universe was like, go to the fucking right, was just like a waste of time. And now I know that like if I just practiced trying to do the other thing, think the other way, like it would have been so much easier for me to see like the strung along pattern that had been being created for me all along.
Well, I think it's interesting, like the fact that you say go to the left and go to the right, because I think that you can take that in so many different directions. Like something that my dad has always told me is like, always like choose yourself first. And I've never done this, right? Like I always put others in front of myself, and like I always put others' feelings and others' situations and how other people, you know, react to what I do before what I think about my actions. And so I think it's interesting because turning left to me, when you said it, I was like, that feels like choosing everybody else, and turning right feels like choosing me.
Yes, 100%.
That's
It's
it.
like you
That's
always
great.
know what like you should be doing for you, but it's like scarier to do that, or you don't want to do that because it might fuck up what's going on with everyone else. But the second you start putting you first, it's just like a trickle down effect. Like you start attracting more shit to just start happening for you, and it's incredible.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I recently started doing those kinds of things, and I literally see a shift in my behavior and how other people like react to my behavior. Like the confidence that I have based on choices that I've made in the last 6 months alone has been completely different than the confidence I had even a year ago, that like I can make decisions now today that I know I couldn't have made a year ago. And it's because of
Totally.
choices of like turning right and choosing me, instead of doing things for other people and doing things for the benefit of other people, instead of doing them for the benefit of me.
Yeah.
Good on
Totally.
you, man. Good
Okay,
on you.
Mom, I'm literally, class starts in 1 minute, so I do have to leave. But I love you very much. And let's talk after class.
I love you. I'm proud of you, actually. I'm proud of the person you're becoming and your ability to share everything that you're learning through all of it with all of us.
I'm proud of me too. Like, I've come a long fucking way. Oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
it's like laughable, but I'm like just happy, and I'm like grateful that I can like be this mindful about myself, and like I'm finally like manifesting and attracting and like doing things that I've always like wished I could, you know?
I love it. Well, we'll keep sharing and unpacking it so everybody else can learn along the way too. Have a great class.
Yeah, we will. All right, I love you.
Love you too. Number 1, your dreams matter, period. Number 2, having dreams and fanning the flame of those dreams. It's going to make you 10 times more successful than ignoring them. Number 3, your dreams are your responsibility. And that's a good thing. Because when you accept responsibility for not only tapping into those dreams and giving yourself permission to claim those dreams and to feel those dreams and to work toward those dreams, you take responsibility for creating meaning in your life, for momentum, for growth, for goodness, for purpose, like all the good stuff that you deserve. And so the times in my life where I have given myself permission to dream, to want something, to just desire the things that I want just because I desire them, that's when I'm on fire in life. That's when things are working. When I'm arguing against myself, when I'm putting out my own flame, that's when I'm miserable. And so today we are going to get a master class in knocking it off. You're going to get a master coaching session. In fact, you're going to get to listen in live where I'm coaching somebody else. And I'm going to use this coaching session that happened a couple weeks ago in Los Angeles as a way to hold your hand and step by step coach you on recognizing what your dreams are, and to coach you on knocking it off. Your dreams are not a joke. Your dreams are serious business. And today we are going to get into the business of your dreams. And then I'm going to coach you on a simple thing you can do every single day to get deeply connected to those dreams, to train your brain to help you achieve those dreams. And don't you worry, Don't you worry. We're going to do lots of other episodes about tools and momentum and continuing to make them a reality. But we got to get clear that your dreams matter. Enough with denying, okay? So here's how we're going to do this. A couple weeks ago, I was in Los Angeles, and I was doing a live event with a friend of mine named Kathy Heller. Now, you may know of Kathy Heller. She's an incredible podcaster, and she is a best-selling author, and she and I did this live event. It's really awesome with this audience in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago. And during the event, it was my birthday. Kathy surprised me with a birthday cake, and her sister Barbara came up, and her sister Barbara is this really awesome comedian and actor, and she did an impersonation of me. Here's the catch. One of my gifts is I have, I'd say, 100% accurate intuition. And the second Barbara got on that stage, my intuition went crazy, and I just knew this was a person who had given up on her dreams. And so I decided to go there. And what you're about to listen in on is a coaching session between me and a woman named Barbara. Barbara has a dream. She's very clear about what it is. Since she was 18 years old, she has known that she has wanted to be an actor. She has known that she has wanted to tour as a comic. She's known that she'd love to have a stand-up special on Netflix. She has been working at it, everyone, for over 25 years. She has come so close. And when I met her a couple weeks ago, she had given up on that dream. She had left LA. She had moved to Florida. And little did she know, she was about to get an ass kicking of a lifetime.
I got that my sister is very kind.
No jokes. No jokes.
I'm being serious.
No, I want you to talk about you.
Okay. You have to just go for it and
Here's
be
the thing.
messy and not focus so much on what you're afraid of and being comfortable, but just do the thing that scares you, which...
It's even bigger than that.
Okay.
So if you wish to be happier, do you know what life gives you? Things that make you sad. And then you have to figure out how to be sad or happy when things are sad.
Right.
You know what happens when you say that you want peace in your life? You want things to be easier? Oh, you know what bubbles to the surface? All the stuff that's broken. And then you have to bring and figure out how to bring peace to this. And so for you, there is something that you needed to do in Florida.
Yeah.
So you would get serious about doing the work back here. And that there was something in the breakdown and whatever it is that you want to call it that was meant for you because you clearly needed it to come back here and actually do what you're meant to do. And look, it might take 30 years, but it'll be the best damn Netflix special I have ever seen in my entire life. One of the things that I'll never forget is that when I started arguing for her dreams, that's when she got really emotional. You probably heard her choking up when I said, you're moving back and you're going for it, and it's going to be the next best damn Netflix special you've ever had. It may take 30 years. And that's what's available to you too. Because the bottom line is, don't you dare listen to this and spend your time writing to me or DMing me about your excuses, about how old you are or how late you are or how much you've screwed up your life. Do you understand you are listening to a 54-year-old woman who had been thinking about launching a podcast since 2011? And I'm just 4 weeks into this. If I can reinvent my life and clear out the bullshit that I am doing to argue against my dreams, if I can get in touch with what is truly calling me and claim it and be honest and turn toward it and figure out how to make it a reality, so can you. And the fact is, absolutely everything that has sucked about your life or where you are right now, you needed. because you needed to experience unhappiness to realize, I want to be happy. You needed to feel small to realize that's not what's meant for you. You know, I thought that I was going to be a daytime talk show host. I thought that was my big dream. I would like follow the giants like Ellen and Oprah and all these incredible people. And you know what happened? I did that job at CBS Broadcast Center with Sony Pictures for a year, and then I got fired from that job when COVID hit. Literally. And I was lost. And you know what I learned from that experience? I learned that that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't actually like it at all. I loved the people. I loved the machine. I did not like the product at all. There was something that was off. Every single thing that is happening to you is happening for those dreams of yours. And see, maybe you needed the breakdown that you're in order to realize you deserve to be happy. Maybe you needed that job you didn't like to realize you better get serious about creating what you want. Maybe you needed to apply to law school and get there and go, not for me, to realize something else was meant for you and you should stop denying the fact that you wanted to go into a creative field. So do not let the fact that you have spent a certain amount of time, or you're a certain age, or you're too early, or you're too late, or all of that crap to invalidate the truth. The truth is, you're right on time. If you're having the wake-up call that I intend for you to have, as you listen to this, as you're realizing that your dreams are as alive as they have ever been, if you are starting to go, oh my God, I've been against myself, I'm going to be for myself. If you're starting to say, wow, I really have put the lid on. I really have stopped allowing myself or giving myself permission to have something incredible happen in my life. If you're having the wake-up call that I intended, good. Now let me tell you something else. There is no deadline on your dreams, and there is no age at which you're supposed to do this. You can start a business at 18. You can quit the job you had out of college at 24. You can go back to technical school after getting a master's at 31. You can literally adopt a child at the age of 39 when you're single. You can go to nursing school after you've raised your kids and you're 42 years old. You can learn how to teach your first online course at the age of 48. You could become a podcast host at the age of 54. You could get married for the first time at 63. You could skydive at 71. You could run your first marathon at 82. Your dreams do not disappear. There is no age at when you can't do something or when you're too early. It's complete bullshit. Your dreams are something you were born with. They are your responsibility, and they are also the life force inside of you. So stop running away from them and turn toward them. Run toward your dreams. Stop arguing against them and be the loudest voice for them. And for crying out loud, stop extinguishing that flame that's burning inside you. Enough with the excuses. Enough with the jokes and the downplaying. Enough with this fear. Your job is to turn toward that flame. Turn toward that flame and freaking fan it. Fan it with all your might. That flame inside you is supposed to burn bright. And the only way that that's going to happen is when you are honest with yourself about that thing you've been denying, about that calling that you feel, about the fact that you're meant for more than where you're at right now, that you deserve to be happy, that those dreams are real, and you have within you the ability to chip away at them, and that when you wake up every single day and you write down those 5 dreams, and you see and you hear and you feel the fact that your life has clues, your life is trying to help you. Your life is trying to help you become who you're destined to become. I want you to know something. You're going to wake up happier every day. You're going to wake up feeling more alive and more self-expressed and more connected and energized when you wake up for your dreams. And I also want you to know that your friend Mel Robbins, I'm going to be right here beside you. I'm going to be here every single step of the way because I see you. I believe in you. I believe in your dreams. And I believe in your ability to make them come true. And so that's why I'm here. And I just feel whatever season of your life that you're in, whenever you hear this episode, this is when you're meant to hear this. There are no mistakes. And those dreams of yours are no joke. They are serious business. And they're your responsibility. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop fucking arguing and joking and making excuses and get your ass out there and fan the flame and start working on them. Mel, how do I get started? How do I achieve this? Okay, this has been fun, girl, but this is a lot like buying a brand new planner for the new school year. So now what do I do? Okay, well, step number 1, based on the research, the second that you define your goals, and we have now defined the goals, we are using the research. I'm feeling super empowered. I hope you are too. You have to make the first milestone super, super easy because that means it feels like you've already done it. Okay. So we got to make a super simple first step. And scientists even have a name for this. Scientists call this incremental illusion. That's what we're using. Incremental illusion. If you make the first few milestones really easy to achieve, you will be more likely to succeed at this goal because nothing, and I mean nothing, is more motivating than progress. And research from the University of Chicago gives us a great example of what I'm talking about, okay? So, you know how you go to a coffee shop and they have these offers where if you buy 10 cups of coffee, you get the next coffee free? Here's a little trick that's pretty interesting that uses this effect, this illusion, okay? So they gave one group of people a card that was buy 10 cups of coffee, get one free card, but it was blank, okay? They gave another group of people a buy 12 cups of coffee, and then you get a free card, but 2 of the slots were already checked off. Progress had already been made. It's still the same thing. You're still having to do 10, but guess what? The folks that were given the card with 2 slots already filled in, they moved through that card faster by checking the boxes twice. Listening to this podcast, check. You're no longer at square one. You've defined your goals. I can tell you some other things. You want to do the smallest step possible. Chris gave me a book about dahlias, these flowers that I love, for the holidays. Check. I'm in box 2. If you can take the smallest step today, can you do a Google search? Could you spend a little time journaling? What's something that you could do? You can't think of something? No problem. I've got something based on the research you could do. Step number 2, check box number 2, tell someone you admire about this goal. This debunks decades-old research from 2009 from researchers at Yale that said that you shouldn't tell anybody about your goals. But here's the hook. You need to tell somebody you admire. You got to tell the right people about your goals. This comes from a set of new studies from Ohio State. Researchers found that you show greater goal commitment and performance when you tell your goal to someone you admire or whose opinion you value. And these results run counter to this widely reported 2009 study from NYU that suggested that telling other people your goal is actually counterproductive. And so here's what you can do. Just tell somebody you admire. Here's how I'm doing it. I'm sharing these goals with you. And I'm going to go share these goals with my family. And I'm going to share these goals with my friends. I'm going to talk to the woman that I met this summer that is growing dahlias and learn from her. That's another step. This is like us checking off the boxes on that free coffee card and getting you to start seeing yourself making progress. And the final thing, the second that this episode is over, Do a tiny thing, one step forward. This comes from a recent study at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine that showed that starting right away resulted in the most change. Do not wait for Monday. Do not wait for the weekend. Do not wait until later. The most important thing you could do, that little box you're going to check, is when this podcast is over, spend 5 minutes taking a step. Whew. Now I get to talk about the most life-changing part of all of this. You ready? The whole reason why goal setting is important is because it creates meaning and purpose in your life. And that's the most important part. Your goals are not really meant to be achieved. The most important part is that you're pursuing something. That's why goals matter so much. I mean, remember the research we talked about in the very beginning? Those goals that you've defined and refined based on the research, having them, taking little steps toward them, it's going to make you happier. It will suppress negative emotions. It makes you feel like you're up to something. And your life is going to be way more satisfying having those 1, 2, or 3 goals that you're working on than having no goals at all. And there's a reason why I'm going to hammer this idea of pursuing the goal. Okay? First of all, I don't want you to try to get this perfect. I just want you to try. And the second reason why is that when you achieve a goal, the irony is it's not as satisfying as you think it's going to be. Setting goals makes you happy. Working on goals makes you happy. Achieving goals does not create or promise lasting happiness. Yeah, it is awesome when you finally get to the top of that mountain you've been climbing. You take in the view, you catch your breath, you sit down on a rock, you take a selfie, you eat some gorp, and then you stand up and you climb back down. It's over. Yeah, it's amazing when you pay off your bills. You celebrate, you feel the burst of pride, and then you go on with life. The point and the purpose of achieving and setting goals that are deeply personal, that have a will and a why and a how and a way, right? Is because when you have goals, you're up to something. You're committing to your own growth and you're getting intentional about things that are relevant and important that you want to see yourself doing. And we have a tendency to overestimate how happy we're going to be when we achieve the goal. And there's even a name for it. That's how common this is. It's called the arrival fallacy. It's this fallacy that once you lose the weight, once you get the job, once you find the romance, once you reach the destination, that then I'll be in nirvana, then I'll be happy, no. Tal Ben-Shara, the Harvard-trained positivity psychology expert, he has debunked this thing in study after study after study. And all you have to do is look at the number of Olympians or movie stars that we think have achieved it all that then are just plummeting and struggling with mental health illnesses after their greatest achievements. And we're like, what? How could they possibly do? They have gold medals. They have millions of dollars. Well, because they're not working toward anything that matters. It was working toward the gold medal, working to make that movie, going to auditions and pushing through the failure and having this goal that you set for yourself. Working on it is what gives your life meaning. And that's why I wanted to start this series of life-changing episodes of the Mel Robbins podcast, the foundational stuff about how you create a better life with goal setting. Because goal setting from this point forward must be a part of your life if you want to feel a greater sense of purpose and meaning, period. And so I want you to come back to this episode. I want you to bookmark it. I want you to share this with people that you care about. If you've got somebody like I do who's a college senior, and as they approach graduation and they start to feel like they're about to have a quarter-life crisis and they're lost, you know what they need? They need goals. If you have a friend going through divorce, you know what they need? They need goals. If you're bored in life or feeling stuck or you've got to hit the reinvention button, you know what you need? You need goals. And you can re-listen to this every single quarter at any moment in your life and walk yourself through this very simple but powerful and life-changing research to get very clear about what you want and why you want it and how you're going to go achieve it. Now, speaking about the how, you want to know how? Habits are how you achieve goals. Systems are how you make it easier. And so coming up next in this life-changing series, we're going to do a 101 on habits. What the science says about habits, the 3 components that make a new habit encode and stick in your brain. And we're also going to give you the research-backed shortcuts that you can use to make new habits stick and to make that change and the new habits that are going to help you achieve your goals easier to implement in your life. That's what's coming next. But for now, I want you to remember the definition of a goal. A goal is anything that you desire that wouldn't otherwise happen without you doing something. And what I want you to do next is I want you to take one step forward on that goal of yours. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.